What is our purpose? Why are we here? These questions echo through the ages, reverberating in our minds like a distant drumbeat. For centuries, humanity has sought meaning through religion, science, art, but what happens when the answers elude us? Today, we embark on a journey through the minds of five towering thinkers: Friedrich Nietzsche, Albert Camus, Jean-Paul Sartre, Kierkegaard, and Fyodor Dostoevsky. Each wrestled with the void, each offered a vision of purpose or its absence. This is not a quest for a single truth, but a tapestry of struggle, defiance, and hope. Let's step into their world, five perspectives, five paths through the labyrinth of existence. Buckle up, it's going to be a wild ride. Friedrich Nietzsche, the will to create. First, we meet Friedrich Nietzsche, the German philosopher with a mustache as bold as his ideas. Nietzsche declared, "God is dead," a thunderclap that shattered the foundations of traditional meaning. For him, the collapse of religion wasn't a tragedy, it was an opportunity. If there's no divine blueprint, no cosmic script, then we're terrifyingly free to forge our own purpose. Nietzsche called this the will to power, not just domination over others, but a primal drive to create, to overcome, to affirm life in all its chaos. He imagined the Bermensch, the Overman, a figure who rises above the herd, crafting values from the ashes of old idols. Picture this: a sculptor chiseling a statue from raw stone, each strike a declaration of self-made meaning. In his book Thus Spoke Zarathustra, Nietzsche challenges us with the idea of eternal recurrence. Imagine your life, every joy, every pain repeating forever. Could you embrace it? Love it? For Nietzsche, purpose isn't a gift from above, it's a fire we ignite within. He dealt with the question of meaning by rejecting despair and shouting, yes, to existence, urging us to become creators in a godless world. But what if that fire feels out of reach? Let's turn to a quieter rebel. Albert Camus, the absurd rebel. Enter Albert Camus, the French-Algerian thinker with a cigarette in one hand and a pen in the other. Camus agreed with Nietzsche. God's gone, the universe is silent, but he didn't see a path to superhuman triumph. Instead, he confronted what he called the absurd, the clash between our hunger for meaning and the world's indifference. Camus laid out three responses to this absurdity. First, suicide, escape through death. Second, a leap of faith, clinging to religion or illusion. Third, acceptance, living with the absurd, not against it. Camus chose the third, and he gave us a hero, Sisyphus, the mythical figure doomed to roll a boulder up a hill, only for it to fall back down forever. In the myth of Sisyphus, Camus writes, one must imagine Sisyphus happy. Why? Because Sisyphus rebels. He doesn't beg for meaning or curse his fate, he embraces the struggle. For Camus, purpose isn't in reaching the top. It's in the act of pushing, in defying the silence with every step. He dealt with meaning's absence by finding dignity and persistence, a quiet no to despair. Camus offers resilience, but is that enough? Let's shift to a voice of radical freedom. Jean-Paul Sartre, freedom's heavy crown. Jean-Paul Sartre, the French existentialist with a piercing gaze, takes us deeper. Existence precedes essence, he famously said. Translation: there's no pre-written purpose baked into us. We're born blank slates, and meaning only emerges through what we do. Freedom defines us, but it's no picnic. Sartre called this condemned to be free, no God, no fate, no excuses, just us, making choices in a vast, indifferent universe. Every decision from the mundane to the monumental shapes who we are. In his play No Exit, he shows us hell isn't fire and brimstone. It's the weight of our own choices, reflected back by others. For Sartre, purpose isn't a treasure to unearth, it's a burden we craft. He dealt with the question by embracing the anguish of freedom, insisting we take responsibility for our lives. No cosmic guide, just raw, unfiltered agency. It's exhilarating and terrifying. Freedom's a heavy load. Could there be something beyond it? Let's hear a voice of faith. Kierkegaard, the leap into the infinite. Kierkegaard, the Danish philosopher and father of existentialism, brings a different tone. Unlike Nietzsche or Sartre, he didn't see God's absence, he heard a whisper in the silence. For Kierkegaard, life's absurdity isn't the end. It's the beginning of a leap of faith. In works like Fear and Trembling, Kierkegaard explores Abraham, who's asked by God to sacrifice his son Isaac. It's irrational, absurd, yet Abraham obeys. Why? Because true purpose lies beyond reason, in the passion of faith. Kierkegaard calls this the night of faith, someone who trusts the divine even when the world screams nonsense. Kierkegaard dealt with meaning by embracing dread, the dizziness of freedom, he called it, and leaping past it into God's embrace. Purpose isn't self-made, it's a gift received through surrender. For him, life's a pilgrimage, not a rebellion, and faith lights the way through the void. Faith offers solace, but what if it falters? Our final voice knows that struggle intimately. Fyodor Dostoevsky, Meaning Through Suffering. Fyodor Dostoevsky, the Russian novelist and soul searcher, steps forward. He faced death, a mock execution, and lived to write about the abyss. In The Brothers Karamazov, his character Ivan rejects a world where suffering reigns, yet Alyosha, the monk, answers with love. For Dostoevsky, purpose emerges from pain. Dostoevsky believed that without God, all is permitted, how chaos reigns. But with God, suffering isn't senseless, it's a crucible. In Crime and Punishment, Raskolnikov kills, seeking Nietzsche's overman-like power, but finds only torment until he collapses in redemption. Dostoevsky dealt with meaning by wrestling with doubt, finding hope in the possibility that suffering draws us closer to the divine. Purpose, for Dostoevsky, isn't defiance or freedom alone, it's the soul's journey through darkness toward light. So, where does this leave us? Nietzsche urges us to create meaning with fierce will. Camus bids us rebel against the absurd. Sartre hands us freedom's reins. Kierkegaard calls us to leap in faith. Dostoevsky finds purpose in suffering's embrace. 5 voices, 5 paths, contradictory yet intertwined. Perhaps our purpose isn't a single answer. Maybe it's the tension itself, the push and pull between creation and acceptance, freedom and faith, defiance and hope. These thinkers didn't solve the mystery. They lived it, breathed it, and left us tools to face it. What's your path? Will you climb Nietzsche's mountain, push Camus's boulder, choose with Sartre, leap with Kierkegaard, or kneel with Dostoevsky? The question remains open. The void still whispers, but in that silence we hear our own voice calling us to begin.